So, my partner in crime at Holy Sheep Productions, honestly, the ringmaster behind the whole thing. I mean, I feel like I'm a subordinate to him, even though, I mean, it is a partnership. He's the one who started Holy Sheet, and, I'm just sort of a person who came along and helped him do some extra things to sort of kick it into gear like we've got it going. But the thing I love about him is that I don't ever feel afraid to talk to him about like the most emo concepts and ideas that are bouncing around in my noggin. I always feel comfortable bringing up something that like some people would hear and be like, dude, that's morbid. Why would you say something like that? Or even worse, start monologuing at me with some positive psychology stuff. I like positive psychology, for the record. It's very much a thing that I pursue in my own time. And doesn't really mean as much coming from somebody else. Advice in general, I didn't realize until I was seeing a person earlier this year who was quite apt at dispensing advice that I don't always want advice. In fact, there might even be just a small window of the day that I want advice, and that's probably being, closed-minded. But we all find our own paths, right? Anyway, what I was talking to him about was just the concept of Joe as a persona. Jim Carrey talked a lot about this when he was starting to have some existential crises, and yeah, I find it a little bit cringy listening to him talk about it, but I mean, there's some real merit in what he's saying. And look, I have cringy videos, especially from 2020 when I was really, I don't know if dissociating is really the proper psychological term, but I started to feel, and I'm starting to feel again, like clockwork, like I do in the summer, just a detachment from Joe, from the image of him and his traits that I've defined him by. Everything. And he starts to just sometimes feel like he's just a character in a story. Not a bad character. Like, there's nothing wrong with him, like from like a grand perspective, but he is just a character. And I just wonder, like, if you strip away all the stuff that I just have accepted about myself, all the ideas and concepts, what is really left? What is the most authentic me that there is out there? I think that we all grapple with this question, even if we don't exactly phrase it in those words. I mean, I'm sure that we can think of a lot of times in our lives when we changed really dramatically, maybe even really quickly. Our interests have not stayed the same throughout our entire life. The kinds of people that we associated with were not the same throughout our entire life. In a way, we kind of scrapped our old character and we started a new one. Maybe not. Maybe that's a little bit dramatic of a way of putting it, but we've all had some very transformative times in our lives, right? And I just wonder right now, I'm just questioning everything. I'm questioning my reality in a way that I don't know that I have before, where I'm like, how many of my traits are just ideas that I had about myself? Labels that I put on myself that it's easier to just stick with what you know. I know from the past that I was this way, so it's easier for me to just be that way now. And then there's also the question of, like, what about my interests? What do I actually like doing? Who do I actually like? Who do I want to keep around? What kind of stuff do I want to insert into my daily schedule? I have less and less time for stuff that I'm not absolutely dedicated to. There's that old saying, if it's not F yes, it's a no. I feel like F yes is the stuff that calls to your authentic self. Even if it's an authentic self that you have been suppressing for maybe your entire life. I don't know. But, yeah, I just want to throw out any limitations that are strictly rooted in what I know about myself and my history. Any limitations that are just the norm for me. They're just rules that you follow because they're just the rules. Man, I have so little patience for people telling me who I am. I've always hated that. Like, if a teacher said, you can do better on this test, maybe they were right. Maybe I was just being a smart aleck, but my initial response was, how do you know? How do you know I didn't try absolutely as hard as I could? How do you know I'm not just stupid? And again, they might have known some things that in some of those cases I think I was just a bit of a smart aleck, but I just really resent people telling me who I am and what I do. When people say, like, that's just not like you. Well, how do you know? Obviously, I did it. It may not be like some things I did in the past, but I did it. So obviously, in some ways, it is like me. You don't know me perfectly. I don't know you perfectly. I don't know anybody perfectly. We are all so complex and have so many layers to us. And we will figure out what some of those deeper layers of myself hold as these videos continue and as my life continues. And it's kind of scary sometimes to wonder what's going to be down there. But it'll be me, and I'll just have to be okay with that.